Hello, 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 and welcome to another one line of code. Oh, that's just me. Apparently my brightness is a bit off for the camera. Hey camera, you should be able to have enough contrast between me and my background. How dare you? Anyway, hi, I'm One Lion, and we are back with another week of wonderfulness. Lots and lots of fun. So this morning I have been working on just doing some UI stuff for my work product. And I'm essentially creating an app, I guess. It's an app. It's a lot like the Blazor or Bootstrap or any other framework slash library for styling, for components. Tired. Um, for components that will it shows what the components are from the app and how to use them. And if you're going to create your own, so like this is for, I think I talked about this before, another team where we are going to incorporate elements from their project, from their actual application into our application. And they're going to generate these HTML files. And so what I'm doing is putting together what is essentially a component reference guide that says if you want something to appear as a card in our app, use this structure, which pretty much follows the Bootstrap structure. So if they're used to that, it's going to pretty much be the same thing. Use this structure, and here's the HTML for it. And here are the CSS class, any additional CSS classes that we use. And the thing that I do differently is that based on the body's CSS class, that tells you what theme the entire application is in, so that if we are presenting the application in the modern theme, then they get styled one way. If we're presenting it in the classic theme, it gets styled another way. And we are adding dark mode to both of those, which is super nice. I had already gotten everything ready for that as it was, so that's not going to be too much work. Adding a theme, which is just a dark mode for modern and classic. Anyway, so hi everyone. Hi Dukasoft. Hi Tyron. Dukasoft, I don't know if you're first counted because you said first before the stream even started. So, not quite first? Not today, Max. So Fridays would be the best day to do that. Today we are getting back to the project. We are definitely getting back to the project. So we've been working on this financial management tracker. And so on our channel, we have Community Day on Fridays, which I spend more time just doing whatever you guys bring up, including playing chess, which I would be happy to do again on Friday if you're going to be around. I'll lose to you again. I'm okay with that. I mean, I won't purposefully lose. I keep saying that. First hand, first after the stream started. Truth. Very much, very yes. But anyway, I hope you're having a great start of your week, Max. As well. So, what we were doing last time on Friday, before live coding came into the Discord voice channel and we had a conversation there, we added some bugs and issues. No, but switch bot. Oops, finger spaz. Restart. You're going to get your score report on Friday. Wow, is it already that time of year? It's because you're celebrating doing such a good job at school, right? Yes, yes, of course. Nice. I need to go to the bot, which is localhost 70. I always forget which one the bot is. Don't I have this in my in my in my favorites already? Stream. I do. I was smart enough to bookmark it and put it in my favorites. Gosh, this kid. Connect with Twitch. What? Oh. New. Twitch. Twitch bot. This one, please. Connect with Twitch. Join channel. Okay. Okay, are we there yet? Are we there yet? Bang, restart bot. You know, that could be a thing that I do. We should be able to do that. Have the app send a what is the command that you do in a .NET application to run a PowerShell script? It is called PS invoke, right? I think it's called PS invoke. Anyway, we can send a PS invoke to restart the bot using a bot command when the bot isn't listening for commands. 42 is the right answer, Dukasoft. Yeah, I don't think I'll be able to do that. I wasn't really thinking. You can't restart the bot service when the bot isn't listening to the channel. All right, it says that it's connected to Twitch, but it's not actually receiving any messages. No that. No that. Let's do an actual stop and stare. Oh. Wait. 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 Which one? Stop. Did I have this problem before where I don't really know which one is my Twitch bot? Okay. I'm going to guess it's not that one. Excuse me. Okay. Connect with Twitch. That says authorized. So that means that I should be listening for redeems, even though I don't have anything acting on redeems. Here's my channel. Join. Connected to Twitch. And there it is. Oh, duh. You can just check the current connected users. You're smart, Dukasov. Dang. I wish I could be as smart as you. I just don't think about those things, you know? And I can close the tab and the bot is still running as a service on my computer. Computer. I think it was because I restarted my computer, didn't go to the web app and tell it to connect. I gotta remember to do that. Okay, so this is the project that we're working on. Thank you, Dukasoft, for posting the information about it in chat. So that has a link to the GitHub page. This is an open source project because it's essentially a hobby project, and I I don't like that it's just a hobby project, but it's also something that I really, really want to use myself. It is for tracking financial transactions that you personally have made. So, for various accounts, for example, a savings and checking account, and then you're manually tracking your spending and savings. And so we've gotten a whole lot of the functionality done. On Friday, we went over some of the things that are left over, and we created issues for them. And these are the items. And I think the one that we were going to start with was being able to toggle pending from transaction history. And in fact, it definitely is, because I already created a local branch for it. Local, I haven't pushed it yet or anything. So we're going to work on implementing that functionality. The other thing that happened on Friday, though, was that for some reason, whenever I start streaming, OBS decides to uncheck this track box. And so track 2 is the audio output that goes to the VOD. And when track 2 is unselected, that means audio output is not going to VOD. I bet you can't guess which audio Discord plays through. That's right, it's this one. So the last half of the stream, when live coding was in Discord, his voice didn't get captured because track 2 got unchecked when I started the stream. And so every time I start a stream, I need to remember to go in here, check track 2. So sad. Okay. We had good conversation too. I'm sad. Okay. Okay. And also okay. Disconnected coding. What I need to do is start just outputting the recording, because I have all of it in the recording. I just don't know if it's possible to separate out the music track from my voice track in the recording. So when you click on stream, nope, output, nope. Here's one of these that has tabs. One of you guys has tabs. It looks like the settings have changed. Oh, it's probably I don't have those options while I am streaming. But there are tabs that allow me to pick which audio channel is mapped to which device, and which one gets output for recording, which one gets output for Twitch, and which one gets output for VOD. Twitch VOD uses, yeah. So it got like super simplified. Twitch VOD uses track 2, but my recording doesn't say which track to use. So essentially, this whole entire thing is useless, because if I can't do something like, let's have the music, the soundtrack by Twitch, playing on a separate channel than my voice comes out of, then how am I supposed to separate those in the recording for any re-uploads? Oh no, Mom. But we can still hear the audio, right? Right. Okay, moving on. We are working on that transaction history component. In a specific, the pending column on click. So let's just hash out a very quick thrown together make this functionality work. So here is the filter column. Oh man, I already want to refactor. Anyway, we'll clean it up some more in a bit. I do like cleanup step. It's kind of fun. So I don't know that my approach is very efficient, but it is kind of easy for me to maintain. It's like, let me put all of the possible pieces out there and then figure out how to piece them together in a nice, clean way. Chisel off some edges, make stuff fit together better, break stuff up into different parts. So here, this switch statement, what I just now wanted to do was create an individual component for each type of transaction. So instead of this switch statement being only here in the payee column, in the payee column, I would have the switch statement out here and be like, switch payment entry goes to a payment entry row. And then you know what? I don't want to do that in this branch. That's what. So instead, what we're going to do is just have a simple on click, on lick. And this is going to be toggle pending. That's all we're going to call it. Just toggle pending. Korewa pen desu. This is a pen. Let's go private async task. I'm assuming it's going to be async task. Toggle pending. And then we need to feed it the row that we are toggling pending for. I don't know how to type pasta. P-A-S-T-A. Yes, I do. Okay, and these are iTransaction Detail Entry View Model. Why is it showing up as a nullable iTransaction? I don't know why this is showing up as a nullable model. I did not accept these changes. Why? 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 Okay, I need to figure out how exactly to do this. This should be a two-step process. Since the way that I am determining determining what a pending transaction is by using the posted date information, posted date. And so if a record does not have a posted date, that means it's pending. Otherwise, if it has a posted date, then it is not pending. And so what I would like to do is when the user clicks on that, if the transaction does not have a posted date, then I would like a either small pop-up where they can type in the date or a modal where they can type in the date. We'll go the modal route, but in either case, we need to show the posted date entry. The alternative is when the user clicks on the pending column, then that should delete the posted date from the record. But do we want to commit that without saying, are you sure you want to mark this record as pending? This will delete the posted date. Or do we just get rid of it? Aha. How about if we did this? If it has a transaction date, then we'll output the transaction posted date. That's what I said, not transaction date. Oh, I don't need to surround that with an text. Okay, and if we have a transaction date or a posted date, I keep saying transaction date, then we're going to also have a span. That's why. Did I keep open iconic or any of the other CSS libraries? I did not. So we're just going to put a times button. And we're going to make it a button. Button. Button link. Gosh. Come up with something. Something that'll work the right way. Okay. So we're gonna implement the don't ask me again kind of situation, but we will use a modal. And what we're going to do is only have it to where you can click on the button if we want to disable or to set it to pending when it has a posted date. Oops. Okay, let me write out the logic real quick because I am only giving you partial sentences and I would like to give you full on thought out sentences. So what we are going to do with this functionality is if the current transaction, or I guess past in transaction, has a posted date, then display a modal. Why? Just enable and ignore. then display a modal to confirm the change unless the user has already selected, right? I'm going to keep this all in mind for now. That way it'll write it out for me because lazy. That the user has selected to never ask. Otherwise, if the passed in transaction does not have a posted date, display a modal asking the user to the sewer to enter the posted date. Do we have a modal component? We do not have a modal component. This is going to be a, so we have a few types of modals that we can have. We got regular dialog components that just show information with an OK button by default. We have a question component that have options for yes, no. So let's start from the very basics and just make a modal. Modal.razor.cs. My Visual Studio on my work machine has not been doing very well with add new item templates, not even for regular .cs files. And I have no idea what's going on. So I'm kind of curious to know whether this thing is going to give me, I guess I should check for updates. Yeah, none of these updates that are available are for add new file. I'm curious to know what this version of Visual Studio will do. Yeah, I got normal scaffolding. As expected, normal scaffolding. So I don't know what's up with my work computer. That's really annoying. Okay, modals are fairly easy as far as styling, or structure, I should say. Styling is not so much fun. But we have a modal wrapper, which is usually a full screen transparent or mostly transparent background, and then modal content. Child content. And so this is the most basic, I was going to put password for some reason, most basic of modals. Public render fragment, child content. Actually, you know what? That is nullable. We could just have a modal pop up with nothing in it. Another type of modal that we could have is a templated modal. And this templated modal can have the optional fields of a header, of a footer, and of a, and typically, oh gosh, how do I want to style this? I don't know. Is it typical to have an X, a dismiss button and a modal? What sites use modals? We've kind of gotten away from using modals. Yes, all of the sites that I can think of that use modals are the ones that have ads or subscribe now to view more. So let's see if we can get one of those to show up. How do I ask a question properly in Quora? And it just loads. And it just loaded. So what I'm used to seeing is like what has been happening lately. The annoying modal.razor. What has been happening lately is if I find an answer to a question that I've had, it'll be behind a paywall in Quora. And so as I'm scrolling through, it'll give me the pop up that says you must have premium to see the rest of the answers to this. But anyway, you know the ones that I'm talking about. Like if you're going to a news site, then it's usually subscribe to our newsletter or our email list, and we'll send you the latest news. But it kind of makes sense for this. The alternative, I don't know. The alternative, because it's going to be just one field that we're going to enter here. The alternative for this is when you click on whatever indication we have here. I have no idea, Flash Check. Thank you for the question, but I really don't know how to answer that. Is it easy to find a job in the financial sector knowing C++? I haven't a clue. I don't work in the financial sector. Someone that has worked at many banks is Broken Sword, but he's been busy. No worries. Like we're using C#, we're using .NET, and this is just kind of a hobby app. I mentioned this earlier, where this is something that I'm going to use personally once I finish putting it together in place of an existing Access database. Now that I know Blazor, I would like to make a more robust app for tracking my financial transactions. And so that's why I ultimately ended up making this as part of our stream or as our stream project. I was originally doing my job on stream, so I was able to do actual work products, and it was when I was working at the Rocky Mountain Arsenal. That way, whichever way that way is. Yeah. So my real job is now I've gotten a job with a consulting company, a software consulting company named Sagetti, and none of my views and opinions may reflect Sagetti's views and opinions. My views and opinions on this channel are my own and don't necessarily reflect the views and opinions of Sagetti, since I mentioned them. So I'm a software developer, essentially, that gets assigned to various projects, and the current project that I'm working on is for a client that I can't say the name of because that client has purchased services through Sagetti, and so I can't even do the work project on stream, which I used to do, and I really loved doing that because it showed what real life is. I guess real life. Are any software jobs real life? Well, a real life software developer does in their daily job. And so I haven't been able to do that. So I'm still wanting to put out Blazor content, .NET content. I see mostly C# jobs in the financial sector in his country. I see it in government in the US. So a lot of government agencies use .NET and Microsoft products. I see it a lot in, like Dukasoff said, financial, because I only know that through Broken Sword. And then any company that has legacy line of business products, those were usually done in Visual Basic or WinForms or Web Forms or something .NET related, Microsoft related, that they are modernizing. And so we're using stuff like Blazor and Maui and WPF to bring them up to speed. And that's the case for the client that I'm working with. Their original product was a WPF. Was it even WPF? It might have been WinForms, but a WPF project that they wanted to modernize. They wanted it to look better, to respond better to user input, to resizing the screen and all that. So I got to implement a user interface for that application that completely redesigned it, and it was a lot of fun. And using Blazor, by the way, for a desktop app. It's so cool. Okay, that spiel out of the way. What I'm thinking I can do with this pending button is when you check it, when you click it, it turns into a text box where you can enter the posted date. And when you click off of that text box or push enter or tab out of it, it uses that as the posted date. As opposed to having an entire modal, an entire pop-up show up just for you to enter a date, the posted date. Even though it's going to be as simple as just typing in the date and pushing enter, you won't have to click around for it. So I don't know. We'll try both. That said, having said that, I'm going to make a templated modal anyway. Oh, I guess the thing that I was really wanting to answer is, should I put a dismiss button by default? And the answer is, go ahead and have a switch for show dismiss. Dismiss. Oh, and that's just going to be a button. I don't know why I made it a div. And it's just going to be this for now, since I don't have any icons in the app yet. Kind of trying to avoid having any icons until I can come up with what I actually want. Do I want to use Font Awesome? Do I want to use Open Iconic? My favorite has so far been remix icons. Do I want to make my own icons? Maybe we can have Stable Diffusion or ChatGPT even generate some icons for us. Okay. We'll set you to true by default, because in general, I'm thinking that I would want a close button or a dismiss button on all of my modals, every single one. I just don't know whether I want it to be an X in the top right or the word dismiss at the bottom right or bottom center or wherever, whatever. Okay, so let's see if we can make a templated modal, which I'm going to make use of two different components. Oh, I like that I created the code behind file for my modal and I'm not using it. Funny. Funny. What? Especially since we need a button type button butting on click handle dismiss clicked pasta private void handle dismiss clicked. And since this is going to be a component that's shown or that is contained in another component, I'm going to set up two-way binding. So that if show will show the component, if not show, we'll hide it. However, we also need the public event callback bool show changed to set up that two-way binding, which is nullable. Where are you guys all? Because I don't have XML comments. Obviously. Apps. Okay. And I still don't have a good way to do this. So what I've been defaulting to in order to get the two-way binding to work. Oh, that's right. Never mind. There is another event that I keep forgetting about, and it is called public void public override set parameters async. Okay. And this is going to be private bool previous show if previous show not equals parameters dot get value or default name of show. Are you typed? You are. Then notify show changed equals true. Then on public, on protected, override. Yeah, we may as well do task. On parameter set async, if notify show changed and show changed has delegate, then we can do await show changed invoke async show changed. Oh, I guess I have to do, but I'm doing a null check here, which means that you should know that I'm doing the non-nullable event call, whatever. Invoke async. Oh my gosh, deb. Invoke async of the current value of show, the one that we are changing to. We will set previous show equal to the current value of show, and we will unset notify show changed. Is that too much work for telling this thing to do what I want it to do? Oops. Lazy, lazy, oh, lazy. Inherit duck. I really should put all of the XML comments on here though, since it's complaining. Okay, so what this does is whenever we start trying to set the show parameter, we're going to hit this when it's trying to set. And this will say if we are currently trying to change the value of show, then set this flag that says on parameters set. Once we're done changing the value of show, then let anyone that is subscribed to show changed, which is anyone that is using either @bind show or anything that is just show change @show changed equals some handler, or not even just show changed equals some handler. So that would look like if I was going to put a modal in here. Imports. Why didn't that open? I guess I have the whole namespace right here. Okay, so since that can be used everywhere, I may as well put it in my imports. So if I wanted to, why do you keep going on in there? I could have a private bool show, I don't know what this is going to be, show cookie prompt. I can have this two-way binded by using @bind show. And that way, whenever the value of cookie prompt changes in this component in the transaction history grid, it will also update within this component. And when the value of show changes in the modal, then it will raise an event that says the value of show changed. And so we'll get that here as well. So this show cookie prompt value will change as well. Okay. So the fun part, templated modal. So what do I mean by a templated modal? This is going to be a modal with a show, another @bind show actually. I'm going to go ahead and take all of this. And actually, this might be a situation where I do show and subscribe to the show change. So I may as well show that one as well. Well, except that I'm using this event callback as well. I'm just passing it on through. If I wanted to, though, this could be a separate handler, such as in private. Let's just make it void. Handle show changed, as long as it takes in the type that I have on the parameter itself. New show equals blah. new show, and then I guess I did need this to be a sync task or just task. Return show changed. Oh, if show changed has delegate. If it's null, it doesn't have a delegate. Return show changed, invoke async. Value, invoke async. New show. Else return task completed task. Okay, so this is the other way that we could be listening to changes on a two-way bound parameter. We provide the value for show, and we provide the callback method handler. Oh, callback method handler for what happens when show changes. Event callback of bool. I don't know why it's angry at that. It's weird because the event callback really should just be a method that has the same signature as the parameter. Wow. Okay. To get around that, we would just turn it into a method call. Yeah, it's really angry at that. Why don't you like this? I have a feeling we're going to run into some issues. Maybe. Maybe not. I don't know. I'm really confused by that. I don't know why that's not working. That's okay, because we're going to use the two-way, not even the two-way binded. Version. We're going to use the one where we have the parameters value and the handler, the event callback. Just pass it on through. So we're going to get a modal, and the content for that modal is going to be a card. Which we created before, which is also in this separate component library. And cards are essentially just what you would expect: a div class card header, div class card body with div class card text inside of it, and div class footer. And so for our modal template, it's just going to be a card with a card header, an optional card header, I should say, because we're going to have separate render fragments. It's not just going to be child content, it's going to be specific parts. So modal header is going to be nullable. So if modal header printed out here is not null, we will always have modal content printed out. So not nullable. It'll throw an exception if we create a modal that does not have modal content, but that will be put inside of a card body, inside of a card text. Because you can't have a card body by itself. It needs to be a card body with either card link or card text, but you can have as many card texts as you want. It's just that for our templated modal, we only care about having a one set of content that can be styled however you want. And finally, an optional card footer. mean modal footer, but you know what I meant. So here we go. There. And what this should do is whenever we have a modal, we can have it show up in the middle of the screen with looking like a card that is hovered in the middle of the screen versus just any generic modal that's a div hovering in the middle of the screen. We'll give it a basic style that can be overwritten. Same thing with this, but since card already has style, basic style, it'll inherit that. But we'll style that once we get one on the screen. Flashy spinning card. We have one of those somewhere. What is the name of the ones like that we used to use all the time? Oh my gosh, it is completely gone from my brains. The HTML. Pen. Whoa. It was completely gone from my brain for a while. This is me on CodePen. Here's our sample spinny cards, for example. Aha, surprise. You just hover to flip. Flippy spinnies. I mean, I guess they're not spinning so much as they're rotating. Flipping, I don't know. That was a lot of fun. I kind of want to bring this over into the app so that we have these, but I don't know where I would use them currently. Okay. We have the basic structure. We have the actual components themselves. We have the functionality for doing two-way binding in our modals and in our card. So let's use it. Yeah. Okay. Option one is to have a templated modal so that when you click on the show, when you click on the pending and it doesn't have a date, then it'll prompt you to type in the date. So let's show what that would look like. It'd be a templated modal that is bound to show posted date entry. We're going to need to keep track of which record is the active record that we're trying to change. Transaction data entry view model. Transaction to edit. Sure. Works for me. And so here are our two things that we get. Are you going to fill in the logic for me? We have a transaction and a transaction to edit. If transaction.postedDate is not null, and not force. Oh, we can't do that one yet because we need the modal for confirm as well as keeping track of whether the user said don't prompt me ever again. When I click delete, I really mean, or not delete, when I click on pending, I really mean change this record to pending. Even if it's just an accidental click. But I will never accidentally click. Oh my gosh. I just got like 6 emails at the same time. Okay. What about this one? No? Nothing? Okay. If, well, I guess we can start here quick. If transaction posted date is not null and not force, no, and, oh crap. If force, then transaction.posted date is null and await transaction service. Ooh, I don't have a transaction service in here. So I'm going to need a transaction service of each type of transaction. I can't just dependency inject an iTransaction service because I made them so that they have to be typed to the specific type of transaction. How am I doing it on the actual data entry pages? Yep. This is, ooh. This is why it would be better if we turn this into a specific transaction type row. And then we can move this logic into that. Cool. So apparently we are going to do that. We're going to turn this here into either a payment, transfer, or deposit row. Shift F2. So this is called a payment history row. Transfer history row. I can't type because my phone just keeps making noise at me. Please stop. And a deposit. Depositor history row. Okay. They're all going to follow the same pattern. They're all going to have a, if they are, does that mean that I can have a base transaction row? So a base transaction row is going to inherit component base. And they will all have parameter public iTransaction view model transaction iTransaction entry view model. I forget what I call these things. Dude, what are you called? iTransaction data entry view model. Just keep adding words until you get there. Then you know that you've gotten a one-line project. Non-nullable. If you're going to print out a row, the record cannot be null. and we're going to put the type here. Yeah. Perfect. Which means that we can put everything else here, such as in the injected private close iTransaction service, which I have put into where? Of T. Why are you angry? The type T must be a reference type. Okay, so this is going to be a class. Awesome. A class that implements iTransaction data entry view model of type T. And so this is going to have our functionality for this pending change. And with that, I'm going to get rid of this, keep you, get rid of you, keep you, keep you, keep you. You are going to be A. I think this is going to work. Come on, brain. So am I going to have a code behind file? Let's not do a code behind file yet, and then we'll move all of it to the code behind, but I'm anticipating not having any C# code in these components. So for now, we're just going to do inherits base transaction row of type deposit data entry view model. I know what it is. Why is this difficult for me to find stuff? I need this. I would like you. I would like to see you. iTransaction data entry view model. This. Give me this. Show me all of the implementations. There. Deposit entry view model, payment entry view model, and transfer entry view model. Transfer. Transfer. I don't know why you guys keep getting semicolons though. Am I actually putting semicolons myself? It's getting confusing. Okay. Then we can have a few. How do I want to do this? We can have a public render fragment of T. No, we won't need of T. Render. And what this is going to render out is some HTML, which I can't do in this type of partial. Son of a. Oh, and this is supposed to be abstract. Right. Since I can't use the HTML in the code behind file in the C# file, we'll go ahead and do our render builder this way, render tree builder for lmnum. So we will do a builder open element. Most of these, actually, I think all of them are going to be elements. It's going to be a tr. And actually, do I still have it in my clipboard? I never put it in my clipboard. Come on. Come on. There you go. Oh my gosh. I'm breaking things. I need to save. Otherwise, it's going to crash. It's going to crash. Help. All right. You're good to go. Okay, so we have builder open element, tr. We have another, I may as well close this, builder close element so I don't ever forget. We have a td, close. We have another close element for the td. URL. And this is going to be all of this logic. And everywhere that says current transaction is going to be just transaction. And so we need to output this text and a button. Builder dot. Is that anywhere close? Toggle pending. Nope. Nope. Not what I wanted. Okay, so builder dot add content. Still need to increment our alum number. And the content is going to say this. Oh, this. I'm not liking this. I'm not liking this at all. I wanted to make a generic way to do this. I wonder if I can still. Can you create a partial abstract class? looks like it. I wonder if I can still put a .razor file as a partial. And then we'll rename this to .razor.cs just for the nesting. It doesn't change anything structurally. And I put this in the code block here. Get rid of this. You become an at. Get rid of this. Put you back in comments. Get rid of this. And here we go. So we put an at symbol there, and we put an at symbol here, and we put an at symbol everywhere. No, not an at symbol, a semicolon here. And then we get rid of our comment. Transaction do exist. It's in the partial code behind file. Right here. Right here. Aha. That's probably what it is. At type param t. That's exactly what it was. So I forgot that if you're going to have a type param on the code behind, you also need that type param in the .razor file. Cool. And so all this is doing is allowing me to write HTML for my template and then have it render immediately, which means that anything that is implementing it or inheriting it, I guess, will no longer be using its own HTML markup. It will always default back to this. Which still kind of sucks. Because I still have this switch statement inside of here. And I kind of wanted to be able to customize what it looks like for each individual type. Man. So what I can do though is also make this abstract. Can't I? Oh, not abstract, virtual. So that it can be overwritten. And let's get this toggle pending. Not there. And we'll make this protected. Protected virtual. Why not? or yeah, we don't need to pass in t anymore. We just pass in whether we are forcing it or not. Any of you kept up with that? Congratulations, because I sure didn't. Okay. Okay. Read only? Oh, why are you doing that? Okay. Base transaction row. Am has our method toggle pending. Oh, task. Async task. All of these lowercase transactions are capital transactions except for this one. I think I was lost about 20 minutes ago. I was too. Update transaction async, and that is going to be transaction. Yeah, we're gonna clean this up a little bit in a minute. And we're gonna return. Otherwise, we need to show posted date entry for this record. So I wonder if I'm gonna put the modal, if we're gonna use a modal, am I gonna put the modal with this record, with this component? I think so. But this is even more reason why we should just have an inline text field when we click the pending button. I think I'm going to do that. Okay, otherwise, if the passed in transaction does not have a post date, so this is just going to be else. Then if force, you're backwards. You're backwards. Yeah. Whoops. So if transaction posted date is not null, store the current value in enter transaction date so that if the user did accidentally click it and they have this whole force thing and it sets it to null, we're still keeping track of it. So if they click the button again, the most recent date put in there is the most recent posted date that they, you'll see it when it works, and it's going to work. Otherwise, and this is going to be show confirm. Mark pending. And then in all cases, we're going to set both show confirm market pending to false. Maybe, because what if save is not successful? Then we can show the error in the modal. Yeah, but for now we'll just hide it. So we're going to make sure that both of the modal are hidden, and then the only time that we show one of them is if not force. Yeah, we'll show it. If force, and force just means that either the user has clicked yes to the dialog that pops up, or they have checked a box that says never ask. Okay, else if entered posted date is not null, has value because it's a nullable primitive-ish. It's a nullable struct. Datetime is a struct, right? Yeah. Value type. How's that? Otherwise, we're going to show posted date entry and return. Since I don't know, we'll see if this works without without doing a state is changed. Since this variable is controlled by the component that's using it, we should get a re-render when we change the value of it. We shouldn't have to do status changes. But gosh, we might have to. Because we're also updating the value in a text field for the model. We'll see. We'll see. Okay, so let's finish updating our transaction history grid to use those. And the way that I'm going to do that is instead of all this, and this, and this, and this, I'm going to keep the switch for current transaction on type. And if it's a payment entry view model, then we're going to use a payment history row where the transaction is this thing. Not paying name, just payment. If it's a transfer, we're going to do a transfer and deposit. And then we can put something more meaningful in the case where it's not one of these transaction types. TR, TD, call span 6. And we're going to use our localized text to say invalid transaction type message. Sure. We'll go over to our resources, specifically for our localization. Add a new translation that will need to be done eventually. Okay, so that should set up the majority of our UI. And each of you is doing what you're supposed to. You're going to render out wherever this is used. You oh, it's still going to be angry because we have a parameter in here. Yeah. So we still need this. And since that's optional, I don't actually need to specify. Oh, oh, oh. Since it's optional, I don't need to specify it. Are you okay with me doing this? No. Even if the method callback or the event callback parameter, handler parameter, oh, it's because I'm doing this on click. I'm not doing it on, yeah. So on click, it's expecting a mouse event args, and I'm telling this thing to have a bool. And so it's like, I don't know how to turn mouse event args into a bool. And I'm like, bool. It's like, no, not bool. Okay, so that's good to go. Toggle pending logic should be good to go. We need to add the modals. And if I was going to add the modals, you know what? I really don't know what it would do if I put this up here instead. Let's make that go away. Pasta U. Make that go away. I don't know what it's going to do with this. Let's find out together. Provided we can build. But we condense. We can't. Template modal CS partial. That was a very descriptive error statement. That was pretty cool. This one's pretty cool. Data entry. Okay, so we aren't showing any records. And it's probably because there's nothing actually rendering. So if we put a breakpoint in this, for example, here, and we ran the app, with debugger attached, we'll never hit this breakpoint. It used to have a comment. Summary should be fine. Sure, whatever. That's what I get for making changes while it's running. Stop it, phone. There you go. No anything for my base component. So then if I turn on this, that's not going to do any good because again, in the base component, we can't have it render anything. And so in each of these, we would have an at render. Save all. Try it again. This time we get data. And for those that don't have, or that do have posted dates, we now have the date with X, and the date is going to be need to be localized. Going to need to change this to posted date, but the date needs to be localized for when it was posted. The X is going to clear it out. And then clicking on the pending will turn it into a text box or give us the modal and blah, 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 blah. I need to add the modals though. And that's the hard part. Oh, is it though? Because I didn't want to have to copy and paste the modal every time. But if we have a render row, so we're going to call this render row, we may as well have a render each type of modal. Why won't you let me rename? Now let me. All of you will say render row, render row, render row, and I may as well go ahead and add it. Render confirm. I don't know, remove posted date. I'm taking Tyrant's advice with just spell out the variable name or whatever you're going to call it, method name, and then figure out how to trim it down from there. Render remove modal. row your column. Render enter posted date. Okay. So that's what I'm going to call those. And I am still forgetting something, but let's squish you. Let's do a public virtual render, whatever's in my clipboard. These can be tight. So this is going to be a render fragment of bool, and that bool is going to be whether or not to show. Sure. And this is going to be a templated modal. Modal header. Confirm whatever words we're going to use, which need to be in a shared localizer. Confirm remove pending. Confirm remove posted date. Title. Whoa. Is that APOC? No, that was Dugasov. Good grief. That's something Apocalypse would have done. Man, was not expecting that one bit. Good morning. Hello to everyone that's tuned in and listening. Hope you have eardrums still. Oh my goodness. What? Trying to delete the extra space that's not there. One bit, if only. You have one bit left? Is that what you're saying? Because that was 250 bits. Bitties. Biddles. I don't need a reference. Don't need title. Don't need on close. Why are you still angry at me? Oh, probably this thing down here. Split you there. At bind context. Move. At bind show. Okay, context should exist. Context should be the value that we're passing in. If I were to use render remove row in one of these components, I should be able to pass in a Boolean value. That's okay. I don't need to pass in a Boolean value. What was I thinking? We have two variables that we're using already. We have the show confirm mark pen show. Yeah, confirm mark pending. Which gives me a better thing to call it. Um, oh yeah, I need something to just dismiss the modals. Apps. Which is just simply this. Your syntax highlighting is a little off. Nope, you still need quotation marks, and you are going to be toggle pending true. And I do like having the type on here. Not bad. I'm okay with this. And so this one is going to be a slightly different, which we don't need a bool. Oh, you weren't expecting it. One bit is what I said. Clever. Enter posted date title. Okay, we need those two added to our localization. We're going to get through this. We are going to get through this and see these dialogues show up on screen, except that they're not going to be styled. Poop. I want them to be styled. Posted date. And this is going to have a label. Posted date. Dance. Oh my gosh, Dukasoft. What are you doing? I mean, thank you is what I mean to say. Don't mean to sound ungrateful. But I am sounding ungrateful. Hello, Jens. Good evening to you. I hope you're having a fantastic day. Transaction ID. And shared localizer. I know that you've been in our chat before, but it's been a long time since you've said anything. If you've been lurking, I really appreciate that. If this is your first time here in a long while, welcome back. I am working on getting through some headache. Ooh, oh, I already have a posted date. Posted. I don't have a posted date label. Date. We're going to need this. It's just been a while. Awesome. Well, we're still working in Blazor. We are having fun with a side project. I'm just going to call it a side project from now on. It's easier. It is a financial management tracker, and we have been working on the last few bits of it. There are only like 4 functionality pieces left and 1 bug. Does that sound right? 3 functionality pieces and 1 bug to get done in it, and then a whole bunch of styling, a whole bunch of refactoring, and it's going to be great because what? This will be an input type. Thank you. I appreciate that. Type date. Bind to transaction dot posted date. Oh yeah, ID equals this ID that we put here so that that label can actually set the focus to this. You're going to be okay. Cancel. And this cancel is going to show posted entry date false. Got my own app in Xamarin Forms, looking at migrating to .NET 7 Maui. Not sure Maui is ready yet. So I'm using WPF with Blazor Web Forms in my work product. So for the company that I work for, we have a desktop application that's using Blazor UI, Blazor components for the UI, but it's only WPF. I've tried a lot of Maui stuff, like this app, this project actually. Does it build? If this project builds, then I can show you. What did I break? I renamed this. Let's fix that really quick. Oh, oh. How about now? It is building super slow suddenly. And Dillinger's here too. Holy cow, man. How have you been? Build. Why are you taking so long to build suddenly? How's it been going though? You were doing IT services type stuff and then started pulling in some programming? If I remember. I totally don't remember. Okay, we built. Here is my Maui app running on Windows as a desktop app. So you could see it here running as a browser app, as a web application. I guess this one would be more interesting to see. And so here's the same application running as a desktop application with all of the same data, all of the same UI, and all of the same bugs. Wait, what? No connection. Wait, what? I could have sworn that I put cores in here. And if I had time, I would show you the same app running in Android, because that's the only other device, or what are they called? Platform that I can target, because I don't have a Mac and I don't have, well, because I don't have a Mac, I can't do Mac or iOS. But yeah, it's just one, well, I guess it's multiple libraries, but the way that I structure all of my projects now is all of my Blazor UI for that specific application is in its own library. Any shared components that I reuse across applications is usually a NuGet package, and then I pull that in. But here I'm recreating brand new components. And then all of my core, I guess is what this is usually called. My core logic is in the shared libraries. So all of my shared models, all of my shared client-side stuff, such as client-side service implementations, all of my server-side stuff. Those are all in their own projects, so that if I'm using something like Blazor Server that only uses the server-side stuff, I don't even need this client-side implementations of anything. I just need the UI, which comes with the shared components and the shared models. Database is usually in its own NuGet package, but since this database is only for this app, then I just included the projects in here. And then here's the WebAssembly front end only. So not really. The only thing that I'm doing is using this Blazor web view control to display index.html, which loads the .NET runtime. Well, actually, it doesn't load the .NET runtime. It acts essentially like Blazor server at that point. www. Oh, yeah. So there is no serving pages when it comes to Maui. It's just displaying HTML markup. It's just that the application is running through the .NET runtime, and we're getting our Blazor components turned into HTML by the Razor View Engine, Razor component model, Blazor component model. So the only thing that is server about this is the WPF app, or the when it's running as a Windows application, it uses a HTTP client to send requests to the API server. This could be any API you want, any service you want, any external, however you want to get your data that you want. I just happen to use a hosted .NET API. But in both cases, the Maui application, when running as a desktop app, uses the same functionality, HTTP client, all of that stuff, as my Blazor WebAssembly front end. My challenge are the native UI components on iOS and Android. So that's what these folders are for. So in the Maui project, you will get your Android, iOS folders that have their resources, that have their own UI that you could set up. In Maui, you can use their, I forget what they're called. They gave a term for it, but it's essentially the same as in Xamarin, where it's like a stub that says, I want this to be a button, but I want it to be replaced by the specific platform's default rendering of what a button looks like on that platform. So when you're doing that, you can, sorry, I don't want to say can't. When you're using the Blazor web view, the only thing you're rendering is HTML. So that's styled however you want. Within your component UI, you can let it know if you're running on an iOS, on Android, on a Mac, on Windows. You can change your styles based off of that. And the way that I would do it is in index.razor. I would set the body to have a class that says theme or device or platform, and then iOS, Windows, blah, 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 and then have my CSS change the styling based off of which platform I'm targeting, based off of whatever class is on body. But if you are just using the actual forms themselves, .xaml files, then within that .xaml, you can target the different platforms and have different sections appear based off of this it's running on this platform or it's running on that other platform. And then if you're running in Windows, then you can specifically say, I only want this UI to show. Because I won't have stuff like a gyrometer, or I don't know. I don't know what Windows doesn't have that native devices like Android and iOS would. So I really don't know where we got to. Um, am I actually able to show any of these dialogues? Which again, they're not going to appear as dialogues yet, as modals yet. They're just going to appear underneath each row. Actually, that's going to look terrible because that means that every single row will have a tr followed by a div. But it's, yeah, there it is. So tr followed by div, which is not bad because the div is just going to be positioned absolute. So yeah, it did show up. And if I push cancel, it disappears. And if I push remove, then it actually removed the pending date like we wanted. Awesome. So the one that isn't working is clicking on pending, telling it to show the modal. Pending, which would have a posted date that, oh, oh, geez, I know what's happening. Okay. Force and okay. I hadn't really looked at Blazor Maui. We'll definitely do so. Um, I'm kind of hesitant to refer you to this because I haven't really touched it that much. But if you want a template that has, and this is .NET 6, I haven't upgraded it to .NET 7 yet, that has this kind of pattern that I'm using, which is one UI project, here's a WASM, here is a server only, and then here's an API. Where's the API? Apparently I don't have the WASM with API. But you could always add your own API. Anyway, this template here, I made it so that you could just do new Maui Blazor web, and that'll give you all of those projects set up. The problem is because it's like one of my first ever templates that I've made, and I'm still not 100% familiar with all of the options, it's kind of cumbersome to use. My phone made a noise at me from Verizon, from my phone company, that says too many spam calls. No, just too many spam messages. Thanks. But yeah, we're really close. So I'm going to have to end my stream here though, because I need to get back to my job. But I will be back again on Wednesday. So feel free to join me. I've been streaming on Monday, Wednesday, Friday. You're always welcome to our Discord. Thank you, Dukasoft. You're so amazing. I will be posting this video sometime 24 hours after I end the stream. And I don't know who is around. Hey, let's go see Xcoding. Actually, let's go see, yeah, Xcoding. We're going to hop over to Xcoding, who has been a very valued member of our community. He's so chill. So I will start a raid to him. X_coding. This guy. All right, if you feel like it, hang about while we raid Xcoding. I need to unmute the tab now that I am done talking. And we'll see what he's working on. More .NET stuff. I love .NET, if you couldn't tell. But yeah, that's going to be it for me for today. Feel free to hang out in our Discord. Project is available on GitHub. I will push these changes shortly and then get the video posted to YouTube. Okay, ciao for now. See you the next time you're around. Cheers.